Friends, it's good to be with you and to be current. I apologize for the fact that we have been immersed in editing the hopefully soon to be released, we're shooting for September 11th, soon to be released 10-part series, What Would Mohammed Do? I will tell you more about the series towards the end of the broadcast. But first, I want to play a clip of an interview that the Milwaukee area sheriff, Mr. Clark, Sheriff Clark did on Fox, and it was just so incredible. Please listen to what he's saying. We constantly hear this narrative about what causes poverty or how bad white people are and Black Lives Matter. But here you have an African-American sheriff pointing out the causes of this behavior and these riots and the lootings. And oh my goodness, yes, there was a horrible shooting that happened recently where a black law enforcement officer shot a black felon who was armed. And you can see, here's a, was this a selfie or something we're watching here? This is the sad soul that was dispatched into eternity. I wanted to play a portion of what Sheriff Clark said because it was so succinct and so brilliant, and clearly no one can accuse him of being a racist.
After the police shooting of a black man, a second night of tense riots breaking out in Milwaukee last night, as you can see from that video. Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark is with us. And Sheriff, I know it's been a very tough 2 or 3 days. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. How did this all happen? Maybe you can just first talk us through what happened.
Well, first of all, I'm used to tough. I've been doing it for 38 years. Look, the social order in Milwaukee totally collapsed on Saturday night. And when the social order collapsed, tribal behavior takes over. When tribal behavior takes over, the law of the jungle replaces the rule of law. And that's why you end up with what you saw. Last night was a little better, not good enough for me. I won't be satisfied until these creeps crawl back into their holes so that the good law-abiding people that live in the Milwaukee ghetto can return to at least a calm quality of life.
Sheriff, we understand that the video that was recorded on the officer's body camera quite clearly shows what happened. Is that right? Well,
I haven't seen the video, but I did talk to the mayor yesterday, and he said he saw the video, and that it's clear that the suspect that the officer confronted was armed with a firearm. I noticed that people are leaving that out when they say police shot a man. They shot an armed individual this time, so it doesn't give the cop haters the high ground on this sort of thing. But look, that's not what causes riots anyway. What causes riots are failed liberal urban policies in these ghettos like Milwaukee. Milwaukee has inescapable poverty. We're like the 6th poorest city in America. They have failing public schools. The K-12 public school system here, there's only two school systems that are worse, Cleveland and Detroit. You have massive black unemployment. I think the black unemployment rate in Milwaukee is 32%. You have dysfunctional families. You have father-absent homes. You have questionable lifestyle choices. Those are the ingredients for a riot. And then a police shooting comes along and just acts as an igniter to an already volatile situation. Now look, between Friday night and Saturday, 4 people were murdered in 9 separate shootings, and these same creeps, we didn't hear a peep from them, but all of a sudden, a law enforcement officer, fearing for his life reasonably, is confronted by an armed individual, and these people who exploit this thing, these cop haters, want to come out and riot. This was just a situation of opportunity for people to steal, to loot, and to rabble-rouse.
Now, as you know, Hillary Clinton is doing everything that she and her people could do to paint Donald Trump as a racist or to say that law enforcement are part of the problem. Well, I know that there have been law enforcement officials who have, in fact, been corrupt, been brutal at points. I have personally suffered corruption from law enforcement, seen corruption, suffered violence at their hands, okay? So I know it's true. But most men and women in law enforcement are not that. They're not. And they risk their lives for us to even put on that uniform. And in this current atmosphere where Obama and his friends, Hillary and her friends, Black Lives Matter and their friends, where they're trying to rewrite the narrative that somehow black Americans are oppressed and suppressed and it's all the fault of white people and law enforcement. I'm sorry. This is simply a fabrication. It's not true. Look at the murder rate in Chicago, Illinois. Black on black crime, as they call it. It has nothing to do with law enforcement, nothing to do with white people oppressing them. It has to do with issues inherent to the African American community and the breakdown of the family, which is what Sheriff Clark said. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the size of the crowds that Donald Trump is enjoying and the ones that Hillary is missing. And does Hillary have a health problem?